Watching sports on television has always been a way for many families to spend time together. My family is one of the many who is able to bond and enjoy time together watching games. Whether it be football on Thanksgiving or basketball on Christmas, we would always make sure we could share these moments with each other. Playoff games were always a bigger deal than the rest, bringing out different types of snacks and drinks. Watching the game together as a family was the next best thing to being right there at the game. We didn't get to actually go to the games very often, so whenever we did, it was a huge deal. Out of every single sport event I've ever watched, there was one game which will always stick out in my mind. I've been to a dozen baseball games, a handful of basketball and football games, and even a couple hockey games. My first basketball game is my favorite memory of all. When I was 10, my dad said he was taking me to Boston so we could watch the New England Patriots try to win their first Super Bowl. I remember how excited I was on the way, finding it hard to sit still, having my dad remind me to calm down. I was sort of confused how early we got to Boston, knowing the game was later in the night. To pass time, we stopped at a local restaurant to get something to eat. Throughout our meal, my dad kept saying something about a secret or a surprise for me. I was hoping we were going to the Gillette Stadium to watch the game. When we left the restaurant, we jumped on the subway. I couldn't stop thinking about where my dad was taking me. After walking around for what seemed like forever, we got to the Fleet Center, where the Boston Celtics play. Standing in line for a while, I started to question my dad as to why we were there. My dad then told me we aren't watching the Super Bowl, but we were going to a Celtics game. This was my first live basketball game, and I had no idea until we got there. It was a total surprise. After waiting in line, then making our way through security, we got into the game. When we found our seats, my dad noticed a full row of seats, about 10 rows down. The stadium was only at about half capacity at tip-off due to the fact that the Patriots were in the Super Bowl on the same day. My dad asked me if I wanted to move down closer to get a better view. Making our way through the crowd, we got to our new seats, about 15 to 20 rows back from the court. We enjoyed the entire first half with these amazing seats. After the first quarter, we got up to get a drink. As we headed back to our seats, the second quarter had already started. I hurried down to the row where we were sitting just to find that others had discovered our good idea also. My dad told me to stay close to him as he made his way through the crowd. He found two open seats about 7 rows back. The Celtics carried a lead going into halftime, and I could not have been happier. Once halftime was over, it seems half of the people had already left the Barron Stadium. Throughout the game, we would get the score update on the Super Bowl, and the fans still there would cheer at the sounds of the Patriots winning. We got to see most of the second half with a courtside view right behind the basket. The Celtics blew out the Los Angeles Clippers in the fourth quarter to take the win. I remember being so happy at the fact that my dad had us keep moving down to get the best seats we could. After the game was over, we headed home as fast as we could, hoping to catch the end of the Super Bowl. I remember running into the living room with my dad standing in front of the television with the remote in his hand. There was only seconds left, and Adam Vinatieri, the Patriots kicker at the time, was lining up for a kick to win the game. My father and I, along with the rest of my family, started jumping and cheering as the 48-yard kick went through the uprights to give the Patriots their first Super Bowl victory. I will always remember this moment I shared with my father and my family, and I know they will also. This just shows you sports can bring many people together.